All right, so these notes are on the law of sines and the law of cosines. There's one goal for these notes, which is to try to solve triangles by using the law of sines or law of cosines. If you look, there's a third page that has word problems. I'm not going to do the third page in this lesson. All right, so when we're working with the law of sines or law of cosines, we are working with oblique triangles. Oblique triangles are triangles that do not have a right angle. So an oblique triangle can have 3 acute angles, or it could have 1 obtuse and 2 acute angles, but no right angles. You can apply the law of sines to solve an oblique triangle if you know the measures of 2 angles and a non-included side. So that's 2 angles and a non-included side. That'd be angle, angle, side. Or 2 angles and the side that's included. So it's 2 angles and the included side, angle, side, angle. Now we could also do 2 sides and an angle that's not included. So notice the 2 S's come first and not second. But also we're saving that SSA for tomorrow. So we're going to only see AAS and ASA today. And if you have AAS or ASA, you're using the law of sines. So this is what the law of sines is. So first off, actually, how to label a triangle. So if this is triangle ABC, you can see triangle ABC here, okay? The side opposite of angle A is lowercase a, side A. The side opposite of angle B is side B. And the side opposite of angle C is side C. Notice sides are labeled with lowercase letters and angles are labeled with uppercase letters. So if you have 2 angles and a side outside, angle, angle, side, or 2 angles and a side in between, angle, side, angle, or 2 sides and angle outside, side, side, angle, you can use the law of sines. So here's what you would do. First off, it's a proportion. So 2 fractions set equal to each other. What you would do is you would take the sine of the angle that you do know. So let's say I was given angle A, and you'd put it over its opposite side, which is side A. And then you'd set it equal to the sine of, and then it'd be another angle, so let's say it's angle B, over its opposite side, which is B. And then you can solve this by cross-multiplying and solving for whatever variable you need to solve for. Now, please keep in mind, this could have been angle C and side C. So that's why this law of sines actually looks like this. But it's either the first 2, the last 2, or the first and the last one with this one missing. Okay, but it's always just a proportion. Okay, so here's our example, our first example. It says solve the triangle. And it gives us side B, and angle C. So first thing you're going to need to do is you need to draw a picture because we don't know if we can even use the law of sines yet. Oopsies. Okay, so let's draw a picture of a triangle. So here's a triangle. And I need to name that triangle, triangle A, B, C. Okay, so now I'm going to label what they gave me. They gave me side B is 10. Remember, side B is opposite of angle B. So this is 10. Angle B is 30 degrees, so I'll put 30 degrees right here. And then angle C, my bad, is 125 degrees. Capital letters are angles, lowercase are sides. All right, so now I need to solve the triangle. That means find all the missing angles and all the missing sides. So the first thing I look for is to see how many angles I'm missing. If I'm just missing 1, I can always find it because that means I have the other 2. So notice you're just missing 1 angle, so let's find angle A. I know the 3 angles have to add to 180, so to find angle A, I can just do 180 minus, and then the other 2 angles added together, so 30 plus 125. Okay, so I have angle A is equal to, and then 180 minus 30 plus 125. So 30 plus 125 is 155, and then 180 minus 155 is 25 degrees. And yes, you can use a calculator for this. This is all calculator, but that's mental math. Now I'm going to put the 25 in the triangle. Oops, let's not do that yet. First off, I totally forgot to point out, because you can only use the law of sines if you have angle, side, angle, 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 side, or side, side, angle. So this is angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side, we use the law of sines. But we haven't used it yet, so I'm not too far into this. All right, we got angle A is 25 degrees. Okay, so now I need to find the other 2 sides. So to find the other 2 sides, since it's angle, angle, side, we are going to use the law of sines. The law of sines is always a proportion. The first proportion is always going to start with an angle and a side that you do know, an angle and a side that are opposite of each other that you do know. So it looks like I know this angle, that's 30 degrees, and this side, that's 10. So you do the sine of the angle, which is 30 degrees, over its opposite side, which is 10. Then we can solve for either side A right now and do the sine of 25 over A, or we can solve for side C right now and do the sine of 125 over C. It does not matter. I'll solve for C first. Why not? So I'm going to do the sine of 125 over C. All right, now I need to cross multiply to solve for C because this is a proportion. So I'm going to multiply these two. C times the sine of 30 degrees is equal to 10 times the sine of 125. Notice I'm writing the 10 in front of the sine of 125, so it doesn't look like the sine of 1,000 or 12,510. And notice I'm writing the C in front of sine of 30, so it doesn't look like sine of 30C. All right, now I need to get C by itself. Notice this is multiplication here, so I'm going to divide both sides by the sine of 30. And that's gone, so I have C is equal to, and now I need my calculator. So I'm going to pull up my calculator. Pull it over here. Clear it out. Make it smaller. There we go. Clear it out. Okay. All right, so the last time I used my calculator, it was in degree mode, but that doesn't mean yours was too. So go ahead and click mode. Go to the third option down. If radian's highlighted, you need to move over to degree and change it to degree. And then you need to exit out of there. So hit second mode again, and it'll clear out of there. All right, now I'm ready to type this. I'm doing 10 times the sine of 125, and I need to close the parentheses on 125 since one opened before it. And then divided by sine of 30, and then notice the 30 parentheses open before the 30, and I should close that. All right, we're going to round all answers to 3 decimal places. So this is 16.383 for side C. All right, we only have one more side left, and that's side A. So we're going to use the law of sines again. Whenever you use the law of sines once, you're going to use it again. Your first ratio is always that ratio that you knew, which is sine of 30 over 10. And now we still have to solve for A. So we're going to do sine of 25 over A. Make sure you're doing the sine of the angle, which is 25, over the side, which is A. Now we can cross multiply and solve for A. So we have A times the sine of 30. Why is my pen skipping? Equals 10 times the sine of 25. All right, I need to get A by itself, so I'm going to divide by the sine of 30. Gone. And then I have A equals, and I'm going to type this in my calculator. I'm going to type 10 sine of 25, close the parentheses on the 25, divided by sine of 30, close the parentheses on the 30, hit enter, and I get 8.452. And now I've solved the whole triangle. I found the 3 missing parts. 2 sides and an angle. All right, let's try another one. Solve the triangle. So first off, I need to draw a picture of it. And I also need to establish that I can use the law of sines based on what I was given. So I'll put A here, B here, C here. And it does not matter where you put the angles. Once you label them, it's important where you put the numbers. All right, angle A is 60 degrees. Side B, which is opposite of angle B, is 6. Angle C is 35 degrees. All right, so first off, let's establish that we can use the law of sines. If you look, you have an angle, a side, and an angle. Angle, side, angle tells me that I can use the law of sines. All right, so like I said before, I'm going to look to see if I can find a missing angle first. If there's only one missing, you can find it. And I can find angle B really quickly. Do 180 minus, and then the other 2 added together. So 60 plus 35. 60 plus 35 is 95. 180 minus that is 85 degrees. So B is 85 degrees. If you don't show your work to find the missing angle when there's only one missing, you will not get any points taken off because I know you can do it mentally or just by typing in your calculator quickly. All right, make sure you put the 85 in the triangle. Otherwise, you might think you might not be able to do anything next. All right. I'm going to use the law of sines because it's angle, side, angle. My first ratio is a ratio that I know. So this is 85 degrees, this is 6. Notice if I didn't put the 85 in there, I would think that I would not be able to do the problem. All right, so sine of 85 over 6 is equal to. And then I have the sine of 60 over A or the sine of 35 over C, either one. I circled like everything right now. I'm going to do the sine of 60 over A first. Cross multiply to solve for A. So we have A times the sine of 85 is equal to 6 times the sine of 60. Get A by itself by dividing by the sine of 85. And then put that in your calculator. So A is equal to 6 sine of 60 divided by sine of 85. Hit enter, and I get 5.216 for A. Now I just need side C. I already used the law of sine, so I'm going to use it again. First ratio is the ratio that I do know, so I'm just going to copy it from here. Sine of 85 over 6. And then I still need to solve for side C, so I'm going to do sine of 35 over C. Cross multiply to solve for C. C times the sine of 85 is equal to 6 times the sine of 35. Divide both sides by the sine of 85. This cancels. I get C is equal to, and this canceled over here, by the way, 6 sine 35, close the parentheses on the 35, divided by sine of 85, close the parentheses on the 85. Ooh, I missed my sine. So let's sneak that here in there. Sine of 85. Nope, that's sine inverse. Clear. Retype it. 6 sine of 35, close the parentheses, divided by sine of 85, close the parentheses, enter. And I get C is 3.455. Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to the law of cosines. We use the law of cosines when you're given 3 sides, SSS, or 2 sides and an angle in between, side, angle, side. So to be completely honest, this is what I have memorized. Law of cosines is for side, 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 angle, side. Everything else, law of sines. So side, 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 angle, side, law of cosines. Anything else, law of sines. All right, so here's what the law of cosines looks like. So if you look right here, same idea, angles A, B, and C, the sides opposite of them are the same as the angle name. All right, so law of cosine says that if I was looking for angle A or side A, okay, if I was looking for angle A or side A, here's the equation I would use. I would take the side squared, A squared, is equal to the other 2 side squareds added together. So B squared plus C squared, minus 2 times those 2 sides that you just wrote down. So that's times B times C. And then times the cosine of the angle opposite of this side. So angle A. All right, now what if you were looking for side B or angle B? Same idea. So really, I don't have the actual equation memorized. I have like how I say it. Like I'm looking for side B, then I would do B squared is equal to the other 2 sides squared, A squared plus C squared, minus 2 times those 2 sides multiplied, A times C, times the cosine of the angle opposite of that side, which is B. So if I was looking for angle B or side B, this is the equation I would use. Same idea for side C and angle C. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared, minus 2 times those 2 multiplied, times cosine of the angle opposite, which is angle C. Now there are rules for using law of cosines. If it's SSS, we start with finding the biggest angle. So I'm just going to put biggest angle first. Okay. Now, the reason that this is a rule is because I only use law of cosines once, and then I switched to law of sines. So if we're going to do that, you have to find the biggest angle first, okay? If you're going to use law of cosines twice, then it doesn't matter. If you have SAS, you have to find the smallest angle first. Same reason. Okay, so SSS biggest, SAS smallest angle. And if SSS is 3 sides, you already have 3 sides, so you have 3 angles to find. SAS, you have 1 side and 2 angles to find, and you have to find that smallest angle first. Okay, if there is, I should say, between the 2 angles, you always have to find the smallest one first. Okay. So this says solve the triangle. So same way we're starting, we're going to draw a picture, and then we're going to decide that, oh yes, we can use the law of cosines on that. So I'm going to call it ABC. All right, side A is 14, side B is 15, and side C is 10. So if you look, you have all 3 sides. This is SSS. So you are using the law of cosines. Once again, law of SSS has a rule, right? You have to find the biggest angle first. So I need to know which angle is the biggest, not based on your drawing, based on the measures of the sides. The angle opposite of the biggest side is your biggest angle. So if you look here, my biggest angle is going to be B, so that's what I have to solve for first, okay? So if you're solving for angle B, you're going to start with side B squared. So 15 squared is equal to the other 2 sides squared, 10 squared plus 14 squared. Doesn't look like a plus. Minus 2 times those 2 multiplied, 10 times 14, times the cosine of, and then you were solving for angle B, so B. Okay, so now we just have to make sure our algebra 1 is in check. That's right, algebra 1. All right, so here's what you're going to do. If you listen to this, you're going to get it right, okay? So you're going to do, I like to chunk them into like boats. So here's one boat. Here's my second boat. Here's my third boat, okay? You're going to clean up each one of those 3 numbers. So 15 squared is 225 equals. Now you're going to clean up 10 squared plus 14 squared. 10 squared plus 14 squared is 296. You can use a calculator, but if you do 10 squared plus 14 squared, you do get 296. Yes, you do. Then you're going to multiply these 3 numbers. I should have put the negative in with it. Let's leave the negative out. You're going to multiply those 3 numbers. So 2 times 10 times 14 is 280. And then you have cosine of B. Okay? So the most common mistake I see is a terrible pre-calculus mistake. I don't want to see anyone doing it. People will say subtract these 2 numbers. I want to give you an equivalency of why you should not do that. If I had 10 equals 2 minus 4x, and I said, what do I do first? No one would say do 2 minus 4, right? Hopefully, you would say subtract 2 from both sides and then divide both sides by -4. That's exactly what we're doing here. So we are going to subtract 296 from both sides. Minus 296, minus 296. 225, clear. 225 minus 296 is -71 equals -280 times cosine of B. All right, I need to get cosine of B by itself, so now I'm going to divide both sides by -280. Divide by -280. So now I have cosine of B is equal to -71 over -280. Notice I haven't touched my calculator other than to do 225 minus 296. All right, I need to get rid of cosine. So how do I undo cosine? People will say to me, divide by cosine. And it's like, no, that's not it. If I said, how do I get rid of multiplication? You'd say division. If I said, how do I get rid of addition? You'd say subtraction, because they're inverses. What's the inverse of cosine? Cosine inverse. So I'm going to cosine inverse this side, and I'm going to cosine inverse this side. Those will cancel, and I have B equals, and now I can do cosine inverse of -71 divided by -280. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and write down my answer. 75.311. And there's my first angle, and I am going to write that in my triangle for help. Angle B, 75.311. If you notice, my first answer is a decimal. On these two problems right here, my first answers were beautiful, and I used them, right? I need to use this decimal, but I can't use 75.311. I have to use the one that's in my calculator. So what I need to do next is I need to store this as X so I can use it for later. So I'm going to hit stow, which is right above on, that's storing it. And then as X, which is right above apps or below mode, and hit enter. So now that's saved in my calculator, so when I need it, I'm not typing the decimal. All right, now we have to pick another angle to find. We can do angle A or angle C. I'm going to do angle A next. I'm going to do angle A next, just because I feel like it. And I'm going to switch to the law of sines. Whenever I'm done with, if you look at how much work the law of cosines is, I'd rather do the law of sines. So I'm going to do the law of sines. I'm going to start with the ratio that I do know. So I'm going to do sine of angle B. So I'm going to do this angle over this. I'm still going to put B right here, or you can put 75.311. Just know that you can't type 75.31 in your calculator, okay? I'm just still going to call it angle B, sine of B over 15, and that's not an unknown. This is stored in your calculator, stored as X. Equals, and then I'll find an angle that I don't know. So we said A, 14, so sine of A over 14, and we need to solve for angle A, so we're going to cross multiply. All right, multiply these two, 15 times the sine of angle A equals 14 times the sine of, you can either write B or 75.311. It doesn't matter to me, whichever one you'd rather do, okay? I need to get angle A by itself, so first I need to get rid of that times 15, so I'm going to divide both sides by 15. And now I need to get A by itself, right? So I need to get rid of the sine, so I'm going to sine inverse, right? So I have A equals sine inverse of 14 sine of angle B, or 75.311 over 15. And now I'm ready to type this in my calculator. All right, so I'm going to do sine inverse, so second sine. 14 sine of angle B, which is not a variable, it's what's stored as X. So I'm going to do X, and then I have to close the parentheses on that. Divided by 15. Close the parentheses again on the parentheses, and I get 64, angle A is 64.532. And then last, but obviously not least, let me just squish this in here because I took up a little bit of room. Okay, this is not liking me right now. All right, well, I'll just do my math right here. Okay. All right, so the last thing, or I'll do it right here. There's plenty of room. All right, the last thing I have to do is I have to find angle C. Okay, and I know that this is 64.532. Is that to find angle C, I have to do 180 minus angle A plus angle B. So to get that, in my calculator, I'm going to do 180 minus, I need angle A. Angle A is the 64.532, which is the last thing on my calculator, so I'm going to hit second answer. Plus angle B, which is stored as X, so I'm going to put plus X, close the parentheses, hit enter, and I get 40.157. So make sure you're storing and saving those values and you're practicing that. All right, last one that we're going to do in these notes, it says solve the triangle. So I'm going to start by drawing a triangle, ABC. Side A is 3. Side B is 4. And angle C is 75. So let's look to see what we have here. We have a side, and an angle in between. So this is side, angle, side. So we're going to use the law of cosines. So you need to find the smallest angle first, but before you find the smallest angle, you have to find the missing side. So you find the missing side first. I should have written that first. Missing side, then smallest angle. Missing side, then smallest angle. Okay, so missing side first. So our missing side is C. So since we're using law of cosines, we're going to do side squared. C squared equals The other two sides squared, 3 squared plus 4 squared, minus 2 times those two multiplied, 3 times 4, times the cosine of angle C, which is 75 degrees. And now we have to get C by itself. If you look where C is, it's over here. I said, how do you get C by itself? You square root. Square root. And square root this side. And now I'm just going to type that in my calculator. Be very careful. Type the square root first. And then I'm going to do 3 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 parentheses 3, close it, open a new one, 4, close it. Cosine of 75, close the parentheses on the 75, hit enter. C is 4.335. My first side is solved, 4.335. Erase this, 4.335. All right, now I need to find my smallest angle. And I'm always going to, once I use the law of cosines, I'm going to switch to the law of sines. I'm going to start with the ratio I do know, which is the sine of 75 over 4.335. But realize I have to use that decimal, so now I'm going to store this as x. So store as x, so I can use that. Okay, I'm going to put stored as x to remind myself as x. All right, and now I need to find the smallest angle. So which angle is smaller, opposite of 3 or opposite of 4? Opposite of 3. So I'm going to find angle A next. So I'm going to do sine of angle A over 3. And now I'm going to cross multiply and solve for angle A. So I'll multiply these two. 4.335 times the sine of angle A is equal to 3 times the sine of 75. All right, I now need to solve for angle A, so this is multiplication right here. I'm going to divide by 4.335. Well, really what's stored is x. Cancel. All right, and now I need to get angle A by itself. So if you look, this is what I have. I need to get angle A by itself. I need to get rid of sine. To get rid of sine, to undo sine, I use sine inverse. So I'll sine inverse this side, sine inverse this side. These cancel, and I have A equals sine inverse of 3 sine of 75 divided by what's stored in my calculator is x, 4.335. All right, so now I'm going to type that, sine inverse, 3 sine of 75, close the parentheses on the 75, divided by, and I'm not typing 4.335. I'm typing x, what's stored is x. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and I get A is 41.954 degrees. All right, I only have one more angle to find, and that is angle B. So I already found this, 41.954. And I just need to find angle B. So if I add these two and subtract it from 180, I'll get angle B. So I'm going to do angle B is equal to 180 minus 75 plus angle A. So I'll do angle B is equal to, I'm going to do 180 minus, I hit plus on accident, so delete, minus, parentheses, 75 plus, and then I need angle A. If you look what angle A is, 41.954, which is right above me. So if you have a calculator, you can grab it. That's great. You can go grab that. If not, you can hit second answer. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and angle B is 63.046 degrees. All right, once again, these word problems we'll save for later, but that's the law of sines, law of cosines. Just to reiterate, law of cosines, side, 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 side angle, side. Law of sines,